All right, boys and girls, my name is Mike Kelly, Animators Forum. Actually, RealIllusionForum.com is about all I'm on anymore nowadays. Um, I'm going to try to do this. I hope this resolution comes out weird. I'm using my widescreen monitor, so I'm trying to do tutorials on the new system, using my new system. So the resolution might look odd. Let me know. Give me some feedback about that. Anyway, I posted today earlier a Star Wars Stormtrooper animation, and I wanted to kind of show you how I did all this because there's some, I think, important things to understand about the new Anima. I've been using Anima now for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. It's been out for about 5 or 6 years. And I started using it almost from the very beginning. It's been very useful in iClone, and I think there's some of my tutorials you can look back over and see. The problem has been that it's been awkward to do things which they have now fixed a lot of, both in Anima and as well as iClone. So I'm going to show you the simplified workflow. So the first thing we have to do is to actually get those stormtroopers in because Anima doesn't come with stormtroopers, obviously. So I want to show you real quick. And again, this isn't supposed to be teaching you Anima. I would suggest if you're at all interested, it's a heck of a deal. It's under $300. I pay $100 a year to get the latest release, but you don't have to. It's not a subscription software, so you can buy it once and use that version. There's almost nothing like it anywhere else. So anyway, so here's characters. So what you're going to do is to create your own character, and they've simplified this process tremendously and made it a lot better. They didn't used to support Real Illusion characters, and I kept nagging on them. I think I'm probably their only user that ever used it in iClone. I don't know. I'm certainly the only one that complained about it. So I kept complaining. They finally added the Real Illusion. So you go to click and you're going to add. I'm going to show you just really briefly how to add one of these here. We have here in exports. I have this Captain Gal, and I created her in Character Creator. Okay, that's the best way of doing it. Is just create your character's creator, and I'll show you how to export that as well, real quick. But let's do this first. So we import this, leave these things all alone as they are. You don't have to change anything and just import it. And see, they have a Real Illusion one. They didn't used to have this. So I really feel like I like I did this, but whatever. At least I complained enough about it. Maybe the squeaky wheel. So it's going to run through all the textures. But before, when you did this, you had to match up the bones, and then even if you had a matchup for the bones, it wasn't good. Oh, and I didn't put hair on this gal. I probably should have put hair because that's how quick it comes in. So you don't really have to do anything. You can see it's coming just perfectly. It would have been nice to have hair on her. She looks a little weird, but other than that, okay. So now let me show you. Let's go back outside of this. I will go into Character Creator and we'll probably stop this for a moment. Okay, back in Character Creator, and now I've added some hair to her so she doesn't look so weird. But in any case, what you would do is you have to have the export license on anything that you're going to export. So in this particular case, this is all stuff from DAZ, so I don't have to worry about it. If you try to use stuff that you don't have an export license for, and you go over to edit, and to export here, and you go to here, it will give you a warning and say, no, you can't do it. You have to have the export license. So as long as you have the export license, you're fine. And then you can change the level of detail that you want. You can lower it down. If it's going to be a background character, you can make it really low. For the stormtroopers, because I was going to have so many of them, I made them low. I made them both the mesh details low and the target low. If you're going to actually go by and see any of them, then you'd want them to be a little higher. And if you're going to have your hero characters in the foreground, you can have those higher too. And then you just export it. That's fine. And then that's what we did. We exported. So we're kind of doing this back asswards. Is that we exported this, we brought it in to Anima, and there we have it. Now we have this character, although I don't have any hair on her, but we'll pretend that she has hair. Pretend that we brought over hair. I don't want to spend that time to export it because it takes a while to export. So now we have all these characters that I've done. Here's my original Stormtrooper. This is the high definition version of him, and then I have the low definition version of him over here, so that I can use him in these scenes. So the important thing, as it stands for using this in iClone in particular, since that's what we're going to use it for, is that we need to know how to put these pathways in for the set we're using. Well, how do we do that? Well, I will show you that real quick. Okay, boys and girls. So here's what we hit. So I started off with this hanger. This is also from Daz. He imported this. And in order to be able to draw the pathways and things in Anima, what we really want to do is have this set as a template to use in Anima. And if you go back, you'll see we already do have that there. You can see that I have this set. Well, how did I get that? Well, first of all, I went into iClone and went into the scene and went to the prop and to the hanger deck, and then I go to File, and then I exported from iClone, export the FBX of that hanger deck. So I'm not going to do this because this takes a while, but that's what I did. I exported. I used these settings, 3D Max. You want to embed the textures, that sort of thing. So once we did that, then you have to have one more tool. Guess what that tool is? It's Blender. Blender, my Swiss Army knife of all tools. Nice thing about Blender is it's free. If you're already going to spend $300 or less on Anima, and you've already spent the money on iClone and Character Creator, Blender's free. So this is our Swiss Army knife of things. So what we're going to do is here we're going to import that FBX file that we exported from iClone, and that was the hanger. So here's hanger. So we brought in hanger, and you'll notice it's actually rigged. That's because the doors and all those things can be opened with bones. You can actually do that inside of iClone, which is kind of cool. But we don't really care to see that right now. All we really care to do is work with the actual textures here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this texture because we want to be able to use it inside of Anima. Now you might say, Mike, why don't I just import the FBX inside of Anima? And actually you can do that a lot of the times, but it's better to bring it in Blender first and export it as an OBJ because Anima likes OBJs a little better. Plus, sometimes you can cause it. This particular set causes Anima to crash. I think it's because it's rigged and it doesn't know how to deal with that. So when we export it as an OBJ, it loses the rigging, so it's much better. Plus, you can get rid of the stuff you don't need. Like, we don't need the roof here. Anima will allow you to work even with roof sets by cutting it off. It does a cut-off thing, but I prefer to just cut it off myself. It's totally up to you how you do it. So I go to edit mode here, and I go to get rid of this, and I go to X-ray mode, and I just go up to here and just select that whole roof, and then I just get rid of it. So that sort of thing. Get rid of it. Takes a while because it's a lot of vertices. And then I can see down into it, okay? So that is easier for me, but if you want inside of Anima, there's actually a way to do the same thing to kind of remove the roof by moving down through there. I just find it's easier. But in any case, once you've done this, once you've brought it in here, you export it as an OBJ, and that way inside of Anima, you can go over to here to the backgrounds, see here, and you can bring in that hanger deck as the OBJ, okay? Which is what I did. I'm not gonna go through all the process because I don't want to bring in another one, but I opened up the OBJ, but I wanted to show you this. As long as you did it through Blender, just like we did it, you can leave these settings completely alone. If you export it as an FBX inside of iClone, you've got to change this to centimeters. You've got to change this to, I think it's -Z is the rotation. And you can leave that as no. So you have to change these things if you didn't bring it in via Blender. But when we bring it in via Blender, export it as OBJ, when we go to export the OBJ as OBJ, it automatically does the Y up, and the units it has makes it perfect for the centimeters here. So, I'm sorry, for the meters here. So that's another good reason for bringing it into Blender first and do it. Anyway, then we set it as our background. So now we have a background, and then we draw paths and areas and all kinds of things, and that's all stuff inside the Anima. And then you populate it with your characters that we've drug in and created or whatever, and then you export it. Now, at this point, in the old days, when we exported it, we would have to bring it in through 3D Exchange, because in the old days, you couldn't just drag and drop an animated FBX file into iClone. However, lo and behold, somewhere along the line, they changed all that. And now we can just take the export from Anima, that exported FBX file, and drag and drop it in here, and then it works perfectly. Now, I would show that to you. The real problem is, the larger the files, when you got like hundreds of characters, and we have, I think, 200 or 300 characters in here. When you have that many characters, and that large a file, it takes forever to import it. I think it took my machine a little under an hour. Might take other machines a couple hours. So obviously, I'm not going to do that here. I'm not even going to do it and cut it all out of this video because I don't want to go through that process again. But what I did want to show you was the one thing that will happen when you import it that way. And let's see if I can show you it with another FBX file. I'll do it with this. I think I can do this. We're going to try this. Imagine that this is an animated file. It isn't because she doesn't have any animation to her. But I'm going to show you the basic principle of something here. When we bring in that animated file, when we drop it on the deck, it's not going to line up properly. Okay, you might say, well, Mike, if it doesn't line up, what was the point of drawing all those paths and everything to fit the deck? All you have to do is you go into Modify, and you go down to here, and you just zero it out. And when you zero it out, it will place this properly at the right point, and then it will match up perfectly to all of your interiors there. And then when you do that, what will happen will be that it will come in with all those little guys lined up in the in the proper place and marching around however you set them. Now, somebody asked on the other thing, can you do a fight scene? Yes, you actually can do a fight scene. And I actually had some raiders. What I did is I created characters that had swords in their hands, so they were racing through and then they were actually fighting. And the big problem you're going to have is with an actual fight, you want two of them to interact with each other. You can do that inside of Anima. You have to give them the right animations on that. Certainly it's possible. You're going to have to set that work up. I'm not going to suggest by any means that Anima makes it super simple to do all this stuff. What it does is, though, it makes it possible to do this stuff. And without Anima, there's just no freaking way you could put this many characters in your scene. You just couldn't do it. It would if these were avatars, even low-res avatars, it would crush you. Plus, how are you going to get them to move and avoid each other and do all that sort of stuff? So, again, that's my workflow with Anima. I cannot recommend it more, even if you just use it for background characters. Even if you just have your characters walking around or sitting down or doing anything. Just like we did with the bringing in the characters, you can also bring in your own motions. So, for example, I have, let's see if I can do this here. I'm not the greatest Anima person in the world either. Sometimes when I'm doing stuff like this, people say, "Well, you're the expert." No, I'm not the expert. I'm just a guy trying to do his thing with stuff. Anyway, what I was trying to say is when these characters. So I have these two stormtroopers just kind of hanging around here, and I'm not sure which ones they even are now. Might be that one. Might not be that one. Where is that one? Oh, that was the first one I put in. Where is he? He's somewhere around here. Anyway, you can give him your own actions. So you go to the stormtrooper guy and you can actually give him your own motions. And see, I have my own motions. I actually define those, and I think I actually have a video that explains how to do that as well. But you know what? I haven't done it for a couple of years. They may have even made the process even easier. They certainly made the import process easier. So, like in your motions here, I got some of these motions from Mixamo. So I have zombie motions and moving around. I created some of these myself, sitting around, and you can just use them on your own. And I have one of these that has for the swords. I have stuff. Anyway, I have lots of motions. I just tons of stuff here. Where do I have my fighting motions here? Somewhere I have my sword stuff. Chair, civilization, tribute. Here's the stuff with swords and stuff. No, that's not it. Well, somewhere in here. Anyway, so that's just a very, very brief look at Anima. I'm sorry it's not more detailed. Again, if you're interested in this at all, check out their site. If you want to see more uses of it in iClone, just put comments in the comment section, and I would be glad to do anything you need to see. So that's all, and we'll see you around the forums.